In the abyss, there is nothing as impartial as death. For all living creatures, death is sure to eventually come. Death is the equalizer. It is an absolute truth, and it's always lingering just within reach of us. People make the best use of their wits and courage. Struggling, floundering, they cling to life until the very end. And soon we realize this unjust and indifferent world, it's just the way we like it.
I was just wondering, did you have any specific influences on this project, like specific sources that you looked at when you were composing for it?
So Shield Hero is quite different than the other material that I've done with Kinema Citrus, namely Made in the Abyss. And the difference definitely came down to the fact that obviously Made in the Abyss has a very, very different sort of approach to sort of world building than Tate no Yusha. And because it's an isekai based sort of loosely around sort of the idea of a JRPG or sort of role-playing game, the idea of being able to write music like you're writing for a sort of big JRPG sort of title was actually quite appealing. So comparing that to Made in the Abyss, which was a lot more of a sort of experimental approach, being able to sort of go back to what I was almost being influenced by what I was wanting to write like as a teenager was actually really, really fun.
What is this place?
How did they come to the decision to adapt Shield Hero into anime?
I just connected the animation teams at first. It is for backplay. I started the music side. It's can make assistant discussions every day for chat for Skype and needed. So very important things. So it's that I started the music side. It is standard balance it the animation teams or sound director teams. So good to adjust it to balance as my works. Yeah.
I think the acoustic guitar, it's very sound is amazing. Not play the synthesizers. It's more lively, so important instrumental.
Yeah, live acoustic.
Sort of work with a lot of different styles, but do you ever find yourself gravitating towards sort of like a central theme or way of writing across your different works? Like, do you ever see any crossover between them?
Other people hear it. I do become a little nose deaf to sort of how every soundtrack's related to each other. The sort of the through line is that I personally see between soundtrack to soundtrack is actually the sort of almost like the equation that I use to derive styles from the show. If I was to give two examples to show what I see as similarities, Made in the Abyss, for example, features a small amount of characters in a very, very big space. So the idea of recording a small amount of musicians in a big space makes a lot of sonic sense to me. So that would be sort of almost like a mathematical parameter that I would then try and distill down into a musical approach.
Were you expecting the level of popularity you got after Made in Abyss?
Absolutely not. But no, I mean, I felt really good about it. Like, when you finish a job or when you see a job that you're working on and you're just like, that's really cool. Maybe the timing of when it came out and things like that, and what was, or was, more importantly, what was not around that, or in terms of that style at the time, it must have been considered a bit of a breath of fresh air.
So there are, in order to prevent the entire show from being one dark sadness fest. There are some very amusing parts of the story that help lighten the mood a little bit, but I'm wondering what choices were made to keep those distinct from the much more aggressive and, I guess, angsty side of the show.
We made the decision to kind of suppress those comedic elements and those comical elements for the first 4 episodes so that we could develop those characters of the protagonists. But after that, we kind of made the decision to add some funnier comedic elements, sort of insert those in key areas to lighten the tone. But then we, as we were concluding the series toward the end, we returned to that sort of darker or more serious tone. So basically the tone is, it's a very serious work, and we emphasized that during the beginning and the end, but during the middle we added some comedic elements to lighten the tone, as you noticed. Similarly, Loftalia was also a very important character to me, but there's also a unique character called Mai that has an interesting impact on Naofumi, and I thought a lot about how to portray Mai and how Mai's her existence and the impact that she has on the other characters, and how Mai would develop over the story as well. So I think those were the major characters for me.
With a spirit of adventure for the unknown, and with legends luring them in, many people have come to meet their fate, swallowed up by the chasm's beckoning call, swallowed up by the abyss.